What's up guys? I got a bit of a different video for you today. So in this one, I want to talk about player and ship refining, and why I believe this feature will almost certainly drop alongside crafting and base building. Two features which are believed to be releasing within the next 12 to 18 months. As you know, we don't have this in game just yet. A lot of what they say about crafting sounds like how I always pictured refining would work more or less. And so what I really believe is that refining will come alongside crafting, as in they will release in tandem. The more I saw from the presentation, the more I started to believe it, especially in slides like this one, where it appears to be a subset of the crafting system itself. We spoke about this in great detail on stream as we went through key moments from the Citizencon footage, so I'm going to play that for you here.
Let's talk about refining. Currently, only mining resources can be refined, but doing so allows you to turn them into more valuable processed resources.
Okay, now keep in mind, this is in the same presentation where they start talking about crafting.
With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials. In addition to expanding the variety of materials you can gather, refining lets you create process materials that you're going to need to craft your upgraded blueprints.
So it sounds like we might be refining more than just ore. Like here he's holding minables, he's holding a copion horn, and he's holding a pitsambu, little tomato thing. Now, the fact that all of these things kind of just point right into refining here, and the way he talks about it, it really sounds like refining is going to essentially be the same system as crafting. So we might not get refining as its own unique thing, but rather a subset of the overarching crafting mechanic, especially in terms of like a refinery or a base. Now, the one place where I think that will differ is here, with ships like the Expanse, the Galaxy, and I believe there's other ships with onboard refining, specifically the Starfarer. Yeah, there's some ships that refine their own gas. I think the Starfarer, the Odyssey, I think is another one. There's a couple like that, but then there's like dedicated ore refining ships like the Expanse and the Galaxy's refinery module. So let's see what they have to say about the ship refining here before we move on.
Have dedicated entry-level ship into the refining gameplay career for ship owners.
Expanse Glance.
The Mystic Expanse fills a great hole in the gameplay loop of the entire mining refining cycle, because currently you go out to the far reaches of space, you mine some rocks, you fill up your capacity, then you yourself have to trek all the way back to a grain station or somewhere like that to refine, and then you have to trek all the way back to go continue mining, whereas the Expanse can be the middleman.
Look at this thing. So this isn't that old. Hold on, what year was this? This had to be like 2021. 2022. March of 2022. Tired of flying all the way back to a refinery station to process your ore? Misk is here to show off the concept design of what will be the first dedicated refinery ship to come to the verse, plus an overview of all the features coming to Star Citizen and Alpha 317. Okay, if the Galaxy comes out before this, which I think the Galaxy will, this will not be the first refining ship. The Galaxy will be. LOL. So we decided to axe refining. The Expanse will no longer do refining jobs. That was mere speculation. Yes. I do believe that refining will come in tandem with crafting because of the way they mention refining at Citizencon. It seems like it's a subset of the overarching crafting mechanic. So I do believe refining will come with crafting. And I also believe crafting and base building in some form will release in 2025. And with it will come the Starlancer BLD and the little Argo FM. And we'll kind of see what they have to say about the mechanic here.
Where you take on board mined goods, you process it, and then you can either sell it yourself or you can transfer it back to a cargo ship and they complete the whole gameplay loop. The Expanse is the starter ship in the sort of refinery tier. We have refineries on other ships such as the Starfarer, but they're more specialised into purely doing fuel. Where the Expanse has a bonus over them is it has what we call reactors on them.
Okay, so you hear what he just said about the Starfarer. When you think about the refining gameplay, would it not make sense for them to just literally copy paste the crafting UI, the crafting mechanics, the crafting everything, and just have a subset of that be the refining? I think it's plain to see that's what this is going to end up being.
Once you collected the raw materials, the next step is refining them. Refining, like crafting, requires blueprints. Refining blueprints take primary, secondary, and catalyst materials and produce refined materials. The rule is very simple. The quality of the primary raw material defines the quality of the refined material. The secondary material you put in has an impact on the quantity and the time the refining process will take. An optional catalyst can speed up the process further. Let me give you a simple example. If you want high-quality steel, you need to put in the best iron you have in the primary slot. You can put any quality coal in the secondary slot without affecting the quality of the steel. But the quality of the coal will influence how much of it you need to produce steel. As an example, if you put in low-quality coal, you might require 4 SCU of coal versus high-quality coal that only requires 2 SCU. This is one of the important use cases for low-quality materials that Jacob mentioned. You can use refining stations in the world as they will be converted to this new process. You can build your own refineries for yourself, you can get your org to help you out, or you can simply trade for the materials that you need on the open market.
In addition to expanding the variety of materials you can gather, refining lets you create process materials that you're going to need to craft your upgraded blueprints. So now that you've gathered all these materials, what do you do with them? Currently, your only options in the game really are to sell them to a shop or maybe complete a contract. Adding crafting into the game radically changes your options. You can still mine, refine, and sell your resources, but now you have the option to make valuable and unique items, weapons, armor, even vehicles and ships.
See, even here, it's like a subset of crafting. So I wouldn't be surprised if the overall system is very similar to that. You know what I mean?
You can interface with the refinery section, and there's a little window there, and you can sort of see through into the gubbins, and you'll have a little bit of a display that you'll be able to do some of your interaction with.
Yeah, I think now, especially, I remember when we first got the ability to detach weapons and components from ships, and also these bags. I was like, oh man, now it's time for the Expanse, bro. Let's go. And who knows, bro? This roadmap tomorrow might mention something about this. But the reason I'm bringing this up again is just because the way they spoke about crafting at Citizencon really feels like this will come with it. And I do believe so. It's, at the very least, it'll definitely use the same system as crafting.
And it's not going to appeal to every player, but I think as a ship and as an owner, I think people are really going to like it. I think they're probably going to sort of, really start to gel with it.
All right, so then we go to the Galaxy. This
increases
is the other mention of the refinery.
Galaxy is perfect for a group of friends who want to be able to try lots of different aspects of the game and not limit themselves to one individual part, who one day might decide that them and all their friends are going to go out and do a load of mining and refining, making lots of money from gathering resources. But then the next day might decide that they want to do some cargo hauling across the verse, so they go from one system to another, transporting huge amounts of goods. The next day they might decide that them and their friends want to have a battle, so they need someone to be able to heal people. It's a ship that allows them to experience the most of the game without limiting themselves.
So that's the other refining ship. So now we go back to the Citizencon talk. And let's see what they have to say.
own unique materials to gather. Gathering specific materials efficiently will require you to use the right gathering profession. Let's talk about refining. Currently, only mining resources can be refined, but doing so allows you to turn them into more valuable processed resources. With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials. In addition to...
Did he say with crafting? Did he literally say with crafting?
With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials. Expand on all of these existing gathering professions, as well as future additions.
I do like that salvage is on here, because you might not get RMC right away. You might have to refine that. Or at the very least, construction materials. I really feel like RMC could probably stay the way it is. Construction materials should be something that needs to be refined to turn it into something more valuable. I think that would be really cool. Like RMC is RMC, whatever. You scrape it, it's good to go. But construction materials are very easy to get in a plentiful quantity and very cheap. So if you take that and then flip it to where you can refine it to be more valuable and more useful, I think that would be a really good way to flesh out the salvage profession right now. Or just the mechanic as a whole, really.
Let's take a closer look at mining as an example. We've got hand mining and vehicle mining and ship mining. That's a lot of mining. But with crafting, we're going to introduce a lot of materials. So there's not just more to mine, but we're also going to specialize. So for instance, each type of mining will have its own unique materials to gather. Gathering specific materials efficiently will require you to use the right gathering profession. Let's talk about refining. Currently, only mining resources can be refined, but doing so allows you to turn them into more valuable processed resources. With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials.
With crafting, we're going to expand refining. Huge quote.
In addition to expanding the variety of materials you can gather, refining lets you create process materials that you're going to need to craft your upgraded blueprints. So now that you've gathered all these materials, what do you do with them? Currently, your only options in the game really are to sell them to a shop or maybe complete a contract. Adding crafting into the game radically changes your options. You can still mine, refine, and sell your resources, but now you have the option to make valuable and unique items, weapons, armor, even vehicles and ships. Right?
Yeah, so I think it's plain as day, especially looking at this slide, that the refining system will likely use the crafting system and probably just be a subset of it. Then certain ships like the Expanse and the Galaxy that are have dedicated refining capabilities that can actually take the bags from a prospector, they will probably have those onboard terminals and essentially interact with the same interface that crafting is, but a different subset of it. So all this being said, pretty sure refining will come in with crafting, and I think all of that's coming this year. 2025 is what I mean.
And by valuable, I mean that the crafted gear that you create has the potential to be better than anything you can buy in a shop.
Huh. Ooh, imagine some armors refined down Copion horns and Valakar teeth, and you get some scale armor upgrade. That would be sick.
But crafting just doesn't end with shiny new gear. Think much bigger. Crafting enables you to build your own home among the stars. You choose to make a farm, a hunting lodge, an industrial complex, your own trading hub, a military outpost, even a sprawling town with your friends and org mates.
And then this part made me very hopeful for not the BMM coming, but the BMM being good when it launches. The idea of trading with NPCs, trading with players, the fact that they're working on this marketplace system, like gameplay idea, is really good because, like we always say, it's better to have the gameplay come out before your ship. In the case of the Reclaimer, that's very clear. I'd rather them get this right, get it out, and hammer it down with base building, then have the BMM come in with that locked in, so that not only is it better with the BMM, but it also, they think about where it will fit and make it fit. You know what I mean? Because a big thing they mention here is like, oh, you have to make a trade-off. Do you want to build a base in a lawless system that has better resources, but do you really want to sell there, or do you want to go and sell in a more lawful system, have your base there, so players are more comfortable doing that? With a commerce ship like the BMM or the Kraken Privateer, you can bring the store wherever you want the store to be without having to build a base. You can build that shop. You can just take it to the people, you know? Have your base in Pyro, get really good materials, and then just load everything onto the BMM or the Kraken and fly out to, you know, Terra and open up shop somewhere, you know? Or just make a house call to someone's base. So, bottom line, all of this will be in a much better state than if it just came out with the BMM.
Got a lot here, but it's all optional. You can choose to focus on gathering resources and sell them to crafters that need them. You can skip gathering and refining and just focus on being the best crafter you can be. Or you can leave all that gathering and crafting nonsense to other people and just focus on trade and make some money. But that brings me to my last point. Player choice matters. When a player makes a choice, they assign value. Players' choices about crafting and base building will drive player trade. The community's choices will determine the value of the materials and the crafted goods you can all make.
And that right there is the thing that really excites me about this, because the big thing with mining and salvaging, and I'm sure I don't need to tell anyone in the audience this, but right now all we do that for is money. Like the only reason to play the game right now is get credits to buy ships. That's it. With this, you could refine stuff and sit on them, which is something you could do now with the new freight elevator update. But yeah, you can have stuff in your personal hangar, just stockpile shit. And when the value goes up, people might need that thing. Right now, it's just gold, diamond. Like, there's very few things worth commodity trading, and it's all static. Like, value of things doesn't change. Once we have crafting and base building, the value of different, like, mundane things might jump up. You know, and a whole org might need a shit ton of copper, which is a pretty useless thing right now. But an org might need a whole ridiculous amount of copper to build a big-ass base. And you can supply it to them. You can sell it to them so they don't have to deal with it. A lot of these PvP orgs are not going to want to be bothered with the mining or the refining. You know what I mean? They're going to outsource that shit and pay for it. And that's what makes a lot of this so exciting. Is like, you'll be able to refine, and maybe, who knows, maybe if you extract copper that's of a lower quality, you can refine it well enough to where it comes out higher quality. At least that's what I got when in the beginning when he was talking about the quality of materials. I don't think he got into that just yet. Now he mentions it here. When I hear about the quality of materials, I don't think it's going to be just like you mine it and it is what it is. I think it's going to be more along the lines of like you mine it and that's what the raw material quality is. But there's things you can do in the refining process to improve that.
Starting with blueprints.
Yeah. Okay, so here he's going to get into copper a little bit.
Including refining.
He's going to talk about blueprints.
You can acquire blueprints.
We'll jump to where he talks about quality. Here we go.
Quality is a property we're adding to all resources you can gather. That's an abstract measurement of how good it is at being whatever it is. You can think of this as the purity of a metal or the ripeness of a fruit.
Speaking of purity, that pearl need to chew.
Or something along those lines. This quality will be carried forward from raw resources through the refining process to influence what that batch of materials is best used for in crafting.
Okay.
High quality is more desirable overall,
Not just how much, but how good.
but is more rare, and there are still important uses for low-quality materials. More on that later. All raw materials you find in the verse will have a quality rating that's generated based on some rules.
All right, this picture really got my mind going because it immediately shows him doing some hand mining. It shows what the material is, and it tells you the quality. I assume this will either be shown on your HUD or maybe on the UI of your multi-tool. I don't know if they'll change the multi-tool UI just for this, but I think it'll be like something projected on your HUD. And to take it a bit further in the speculation direction, maybe you'll need a mining visor to see this, right? I think that would be a really good way to implement the whole like, oh, we want specialized visors thing, would be to have a mining visor that helps you see quality better or faster, or just period. You need that to see quality, period, in FPS. In a ship is a little different, the ship tells you, but I think that'd be a pretty good use for this. Anyway, the quality here, you might be able to refine and make it better. And who knows, maybe you mix random stuff in there that's like not even a mineral. You know, like you take some aphorite, you mix in some kind of, I don't know, a fruit or like another rock, and you can make it higher quality somehow. Just any ways to like mix and match things, give it more of that MMO feel would be really nice.
The same kind of rules you heard about from the Planet Tech team yesterday. You'll find the same material in many places, but with varying qualities, so you might want to explore to find the best.
Yeah.
Some materials that are already rare will be even more valuable if you can find them with high quality. But what's quality for? It's for item stats.
Item stats. Yeah, man, if you get some aluminum and you can increase the quality, you get yourself a better gun, bro. Yo, imagine Volt pistols are a craft-only item. I think that would be really, really dope. Like, there is no store sells Volt weapons. The only way to get them is to craft them. I think that would be really sick. And if you go back to the weapons thing, they mention it in a very like self-built way, like a very DIY manner.
So the Volt rifle is another new weapon that we're releasing in the PU, a brand new manufacturer for the weapon content team. Volt are a electric and beam ammunition type, using electric batteries to power their weapons.
Beam Citizen!
They're very techy, they feel very professionally homemade. It's not thrown together.
Professionally homemade.
But also it's not professionally manufactured.
This is the manufacturer who relies on cheap produced goods, but they still wanted it to look cool and shiny, but they are not really reliable in terms of long-term use.
We wanted a manufacturer where people could use these weapons and then they could also repair and upgrade and kind of, they look like you
repair, upgrade.
would be able to strip them down and kind of field repair them, or work in your workshop in your ship, or in your habs or wherever.
You can see the direction where it's going.
Yeah, so that's the Volt gun. Then they show this gun, which looks super sick. But getting back to what we were talking about, if we're making guns, they'll need higher quality materials. And if player refining helps increase that material, that'll make it a very interesting profession and gameplay loop to get ore and increase its quality by having skillful refining.
Alongside quality, we're introducing a new item stat system to the game. We aim to have meaningful item stats for all craftable items, but some examples would be the damage and fire rate of a gun, the wear resistance of a ship component, or even the satiation provided by eating a hot dog.
I love this slide. The fact that it has bread and quasi-beef. I'm about to talk about copper now, I think.
So, as I said, the quality of materials will directly affect the item stats, such that higher quality results in better stats. Most items require multiple different materials to make, which may each influence different stats.
Behind myself for a sec.
And in many cases, you'll have a choice of materials to use, which...
See, he has a condenser, which is hadenite.
Lets you decide which stats to focus on to tailor your items to your playstyle. Here we see I'm making a gun with high-quality aluminium, giving me a nice bonus to integrity and weight. But someone sold me low-quality copper, so I don't get as much fire rate bonus as I could have. To go even
Should have refined it, bro.
further, researching your fabrication blueprints allows you to build higher tiers of an item with improved base stats. So a higher tier item will be better than a lower tier item that was made with materials of the same quality.
Okay, so that's pretty much that. Oh, and then he talks about refining ships, which can go up to tier 5. El Bozo to your store-bought ship should only be a tier 1. I'm hoping ship stores are tier 1.
Also craft vehicles. And vehicles are so important that they will go up to tier 5,
You can upgrade
providing
them.
a way for you to really invest in making your favorite vehicles excel.
So to wrap this up, last thing I wanted to mention, I feel like this same UI, if this is the UI we get for crafting, which I love this UI, by the way, just to be clear, this might be the exact same UI we interface with for refining. This right here. You put in your main thing that you're going to refine, your main raw ore that you're going to get a pure ore out of, and then maybe some secondary stuff to increase the quality of that refined ore. This is all headcanon, speculation, to use a relevant term, of how I foresee it happening. But it really, really feels to me like it's going to be a subset of the overarching crafting thing. And based on this conversation, I could see it being something like this. You have your main thing, a secondary thing to bolster it, and then maybe a condenser to spice it up a little bit, you know? But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. I think it's really, really dope. I'm super excited for player-facing refining. And I just hope they stick the landing. Also really curious to see if the Galaxy will come out before the Expanse. That'd be pretty funny.